Well, hello everyone. We are back with my dear friend and soul mate, Elodie, and we actually were going to record a few days ago following that super rare full moon, the rare blue moon, which was a super moon, and then you add the fact that Mercury's in retrograde. It was quite intense, so we just had our own little chat together and decided to just integrate all the energies, and maybe we can touch on that a little bit. Elodie, thank you again for joining me and for
Yeah, thank
being
you.
vulnerable and exploring all things ascension together. So yes, this moon, and with Mercury being in retrograde, is for myself, especially, I found that moon to be super powerful. I remember it even last year, and how for me personally, the full moon is a time to release and let go and look at things that are no longer serving you, and give it to source, give it to a higher power, and say, I'm done with this, I'm ready to move on, and then take the steps to shift you and transform your life. I personally feel that this particular moon really brings up some deep fear-based energies, and this is why I find this one in particular to be quite intense, because it's almost like masks, you're being demasked, you're having to face the energy that is there, and, because if you're denying that part of you that isn't bad, but all you're doing is delaying your ascension. And so this is what we call doing the shadow work, and diving deep, looking at it, seeing it as just information, and then dissolving the attachment to it, and then alchemizing it into a story of a higher vibration, or an energy, or a belief system that's more in alignment with who you want to become, who you already are, if you choose to be. So, Elodie, I will hand it over to you and let you perhaps share a little bit of your integration since this full moon has passed, and we'll let things roll from there.
Mm. Well, hello too. I'm happy to be here with you. Um, yes, well, to reflect on what you said, it has felt much more intense full moon for me as well. Like I've been working with the moon, new moon or full moon in different times. Um, and yes, it was fierce, and at the same time there was for me it felt well, there was an ease in the sense of, just like you said, it's not it's not serving anymore. And it's in this sense, when coming to that realization for myself after revisiting some of those theme few times, I really felt like it's I'm ready. So it was that ease in the sense of like I'm ready. I feel like I've repeat or seen that loop and cycle for many times in different forms, and that's just this full moon was like, I've used the word blast yesterday with some other people. It was the final blast, and at the same time the sense of like, yeah, I'm actually ready to be free of it, and I'm fully willing, and there's a joy with it as well, even if the chaos is here, and in the time it happens it's fairly intense and not so joyful. Well, I'd say on the other side, it's yeah, it is that that moment of sensing the grief as well, because something is really being removed of an old, very, very, very old pattern. And I also saw it bigger than me. I felt in terms of maybe more my mother's side, but definitely a family pattern, and bigger than that, a collective pattern of of a fighting for one space and one's right to be alive. And it's big, and yet in terms of the collective, we see it as a family, but the collective family, the right to be alive, or the right to have a roof on your head, or the simple right to have an existence, it's turned into something to fight for. And I find something I wrote, like, I don't even remember, but for some reason I was going through my writing and I was like, oh, when did I write that? Because what I was coming across was saying, when did this upside and way of living turn out to be the norm is to fight? And when life doesn't ask to fight for, it's no one has to fight for their existence. To be born is to be born. To be alive is enough. Um, and it's, yeah, it really felt for me time also to reclaim that there's nothing to earn about living. It's life is life. And it really felt like this really, really old pattern of like, and for this, when coming to that revelation, then despite the moment of tears or heartache, it's a gift, it's a medicine, and it's thanking the full moon or the energy, the big energies of the planet at the moment. But I can say on the other side, I know that I'm in a better place, even if it's been chaotic to get there. But yeah.
Yes. I love this. As you say this, what I can't help but connect to, so how people may wonder, how do we truly let go of a pattern that has been so ingrained in us, and recognizing that loop and saying, okay, I am done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. For myself, this is where tapping into outcome, that story's repeated so many times. You're like, oh, yeah, I know how this story ends. And that emotion, that feeling, that experience was so low that that is how I can stop that cycle of wanting to go there, because I will project into that outcome having lived it so many times before. So just bringing my awareness into the outcome, somebody's hooking me in, trying to draw me in, I immediately go to, oh, I know how this is going to end. I'm going to change the script of this story, and I'm going to operate from my high self. And then that's where projection also turns into a wonderful tool, in that, what would the best version of myself do in this now moment? What is my high self or my future self telling me in this now moment? How would he, she, they behave? And then operate from that place. And for myself, the answer to all this fight and need to be heard, and really that is all in separation. And when we bring it back to oneness and truly recognize that the other is you and you are them, and just, you can't control them, but you can control yourself, and then bring it back to compassion. I've said this before. If there's one gene that I like to turn on in everyone, it's the compassion gene, because that is how you need to have compassion in order to ascend, because ascension is moving into oneness. And if there's no compassion, if there's no empathy, then you can't truly relate to another, and you will forever be stuck in separation and needing to be seen and heard.
Mm. Stuck in opposition.
Mhm.
Um, and yet also, because you said how do we get to release that? And you mentioned shadow work when you started. And for me, it's like at this full moon, I was like, not again. I mean, come on. Not really like this, but I was like, what? Because it's something which has been coming up. This is something I've worked at as well. And sometimes it takes us different steps to. It's not for me. It's interesting because I don't even. I was going to say to chip away, and yet for me at the moment, it's seeing that it's a part. It's an alive part in me. So even if I was receiving such um hate is a big word, but that's how it felt. Such hate from the other side, from the person outside of myself, is like what in me is also playing that part. And when seeing that is what in me is not loving me enough for this to be shown in my external. And in that moment, for me, in this moment of this full moon, I could fully say, yeah, I free you, part of me, who, and I let you go and play, because your role is done here to play the hater within me and bring the
Ah,
love, replace that with love, free that part, which might not be happier than me to play that part. It's not a very nice part to play. And for me, it's been a practice as well that I've had to learn, and along those years of looking within what's really going on and alchemizing that, and coming to a place of love with myself, recognizing those parts which are playing the duality within, the separation with it, the confrontation within. and And when you were saying being the better person, I sometimes I felt like I was the better person, but it was disservice to myself as well, because I was still putting everybody else first and forgetting myself in the process, when not including myself in the process of loving others more than me. And that is just not in a combination which often work if on the other side it's still telling you you're not loving yourself, and therefore I'm going to treat you like this. So being the better person is like, for me, it's almost like I said, I also let go of being the better person, in the sense of, if there's not that really true sense of better person from within me, then it's not going to be a very harmonious equation in my external. And I just feel it's steps, 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 but and it might take the a longer work for a certain person, or a shorter work. It might take the help of other people as well to see what um is not being obvious within oneself. So it's I feel it's a process, and sometimes the compassion and the love is a natural thing for a person, but if that means they're gonna turn into the carpet for it's the equilibrium and the balance. What I give out is also what I give to myself, and so it's a for
you
me yeah.
you took me on a dance. I was listening to your words, but really I was reading the energy behind all the words. And it was beautiful because you were describing ascension in two dimensions. And so recognizing the interaction between you and another and how that plays into the bigger whole, but also the inner work within, and honoring all parts of self that all want to be seen and heard and acknowledged as part of the journey of the evolving human, and how there's duality within us. And as we are having these relationships with others, the duality always also presents itself there. And how do we honor all that and bring it all back into oneness, and doing it multidimensionally? That's mastery. And for me, I get excited about that stuff because it's possible. Yes, we can do that. And for myself, it's removing attachment to it and just seeing it as information, like I was reading from you. And then I can tap into the brilliance of it all. It's just so brilliant in how it's all interconnected. And just through our conscious awareness and how we shift it, we can change everything. So for myself, I'm really being drawn into the intelligence behind the ascension journey and how remarkable it really is. And once we are aware of the patterns and the loops and the duality, and maybe just see it as, okay, there it is. I'm here to learn something. This is a karmic connection or lesson. And when I say karmic, that's just a lesson in itself, and or a blessing, because I believe that it could be held in a low vibration and also a high vibration, depending on the experience that is being shown to you that you've created for your own personal ascension. So you took me down a rabbit hole that was just it was like watching art unfold in front of me. And I want to thank you, Elodie, for sharing that reflection, because that was truly powerful, and I hope other people were able to see what you brought forth there. And I do want to tap into one little part that I've been really, I think it's important to mention when looking at our parts of ourselves and who we authentically are. Because we live in a world where we've identified in parts of ourselves that maybe really aren't truly us. And so those are the parts that I think are worthy of letting go of, because it requires a lot of energy to try and be something that you're not.
Mm.
And really connecting to what is in alignment with me. What do I love? What speaks to me? And seeing all those experiences, whether they were low vibrational or high vibrational, they were there to help bring us back home into what is it that is truly in alignment with you. And for myself, and it's also connected to the process that we did a few days ago, is doing the work of revisiting and reconnecting to your inner child. I love my child self. I think she is, I get emotional just thinking of her because she's so special to me.
Mm.
She's innocent and she's trusting and she's forgiving and loving and she's full of hope and wonder. And she is a pure channel of
Mm.
source, God, whatever you want to call it. So denying our child self is denying that purest part of yourself. And I invite people to explore what that is, to do that inner child work and reconnect with that part of yourself that is truly so divine.
Mhm. And yeah, and being so divine. And I was hearing as well, didn't want to interrupt you, but she's in the miracle frequency.
Yeah.
She knows, and she's the
Yeah.
great messenger as well of situation happening, and she's got that wisdom to inform you within that body. So yeah, honoring those parts as the messenger that they have, and the medicine that they have in the not only the difficult moment, but oftentimes in the difficult moments they have the key. If yeah.
I love that you said that, because the key, the Ankh,
Uh-huh.
that life force energy, she is a channel, just like the key of life, to the frequency of oneness or God. She is the demigod because she channels this life force energy. And as we explore that as adults, it is powerful. And I
Mhm.
like to explore that with you because the Ankh, that divine feminine energy, the key to life, is something that I feel very connected to. I honor her in me, and my sacral energy is alive and powerful. And to do that sacral healing is so, so important, especially if you want to manifest and create. So I would like to hear your perspective of life force energy and the Ankh, and some things perhaps that you have explored and are continuing to explore.
Mm. Um, so he is talking from, well, you as a woman, that sacral energy. Um, Men can explore that energy as well.
Mhm.
And yet in the history of humanity as well, that natural energy, which is the energy also of creating life, has oftentimes been repressed, and there's so much repressed because of power being seen. um, but and continues to be in some quite horrendous way as well, because there's so much power in that area of our body. And it's, yeah, so much repression and taboo around sexuality, the sexual energy, um, and exploring it. Well, I met Kundalini yoga. I can't remember now. What year are we? 2024, maybe.
We're in an 8 year.
I Yeah, yeah. It's maybe 10, 12 years ago. And for me, it was powerful, as in, like, if I was doing a few exercise, I would really fly off through my body. There was really something coming through. So I had to also learn to, well, manage that, because it was, again, it was I if you, like you said, it's a manifestation force, but somehow it's like other people will manifest around me. And so
Okay, why do you think that is? Why
well,
do you
yeah, because I didn't hold that, I didn't know how to hold that energy, and I didn't have a connection with that part this of my body as well. It's been a healing journey as well,
Okay.
um around the root chakra. And then I explored Shakti yoga dance, which is a mixture of also which has got its root in Kundalini yoga and bringing dance into it. So the teacher sort of channels the practice, and it's still a very complete practice, which was working with the feminine energies, the Shakti, but also both energy, because the feminine and the masculine energy I find in both bodies, so women and men. Um, and the the practice itself had many different how do you say um
Details?
let's put details. So it was physical practice, but also the chanting, so with mantra, and also expression, so celestial communication, which was with the hand, and also connecting with the energy in that way. It was a beautiful journey as well, and in connecting to the divine essence of the divine feminine within. And what's coming, it's interesting. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's interesting how some of the femininity these days is more shown in a way that being feminine sometimes. Or I'm thinking of, for example, some of the pop culture, which I don't really follow, but the it means to have less clothes than you could have, when actually the true femininity is not about showing so much. It's a woman can be covered or dressed however, but if she's got that force and that Shakti, she's going to walk around and she's going to be seen, not because she's showing a shoulder or a nipple or you
Oh,
know
you are right about that. You are right about that. And you are giving away your power when you're showing more. Or
well, if
are
it's
you?
done from that perspective
Exactly.
of that.
I was gonna say, or are you?
Yeah, yeah, a beauty is a body is beautiful, but if it's putting it out there because of that, then that's not the true feminine doesn't require anything.
Thank you.
It is just is.
I
um
I appreciate that you said that, because it all comes back to
Intention.
energy, and
Mm.
intention is the yes, it all comes back to that. And you can say one thing, but do not be fooled. The universe only reads frequency, and the energy behind your words is what's really being read.
Mm.
So I think that's just an invitation to be mindful of what your intentions are, and be okay with whatever they are, because that's the experience that you are needing to have in order to keep growing. So don't see it as like, is this bad or good? If you make that step to have that experience, then it is perfectly good and right for you. And there's no shame in that.
Mm.
And the divine feminine and the sacred dance and portals are powerful, powerful um, experiences and to explore. As somebody who perhaps has never tapped into any of that, what would you offer as a recommendation to take those first steps?
To take those first steps towards tapping into the femininity.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. Hmm.
Well, if I talk about my experience, it was well, first of all, that reconnection to the body, and it was also the sense like, well, in terms of sexuality as well, but I'm talking also relation to others, um, women as well, the division between women.
Hmm.
So because this has been also created, if women are divided, the feminine energy also. And for me, it was recognizing in areas of my life, the one that I've just mentioned, where there was unease and there was obviously distortion, and being honest with that and finding ways, which I didn't ask, but at the moment when I had this awareness and that I was willing to heal those areas and to bring more comfort as well for myself in situation which were not nice, for a better word, but then I'd say practice healing presented themselves. So just right now I can't remember, because it's true that it was a quite an emotional journey as well to go through that, and revelation which were not um well expected. So,
Mhm.
but I do feel now there's more support around that. So if it is working, if it also again is, if it's about talking about it, or if you've got girlfriend or people supportive around that. And it doesn't have to be because of the trauma. It doesn't have to be as far as that. But as simple as, like, not having ease with the jealousy is quite a theme between women.
I know it's terrible.
What
But it's
it
real. It's there. It's
it's a
there.
construct, and it's been
Mhm.
created as well. It's
It
again
has
coming back
been.
to separation.
Uh-huh.
So there are some circles, some women circle, which can be, like I said, I don't have specific practice, because for me they just arose when I was ready
Right.
to explore those areas. But dance can also be a great unlocker, I would say, because this area is a key as well, a massive key, which often have been locked up. And if it's not in our lifetime, we carry a mother as well,
Mhm.
and the mothers before. And sometimes it is being aware as well of the history of our mother or the history of our grandmother. I'm talking as a woman, because
That's your
that's where I
experience.
can talk. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm with you
and
on that.
and that can start something as well, um to connect deeper with that feminine energy, with that shakti within, and bring back its power, working with the womb, and yeah. Hmm. I guess in transparency, I might be holding myself, because it's such a vast subject and can be a tender subject.
I was just thinking that as
Yeah.
well. So how much do we share? How much do we not? Uh, and I want to honor that, because some things are meant to be private within, and some are meant to be shared. I know for myself,
I'm also considering whoever might hear
you
this
might hear it.
information,
Yeah,
that
of course, because we're
it
all part of
calls
a
for,
whole.
yeah, and it
Yeah,
calls for a safe container. So
I agree. I agree, because they're pulling myself out of it and just looking at it from a higher perspective. I see the feminine that wants to feel empowered and to own her sexuality and her creativity, but bring in that masculine energy and holding it in this controlled place and calling the shots, and I'm going to explore this and that, which is wonderful if that's what you choose to experience. But
Not sustainable.
I will say, yes, it's especially if you are taking the ascension journey and are choosing to raise in vibration, you do become more sensitive. And what has been shown to me just through any interaction, whether it be sexual or not, it could even just be a dream. When you are sharing your energy with anyone, there are all kinds of entanglements that start to happen. So if you allow someone into your life, then you are agreeing to be a part of, to entangle in their journey, and their lessons will affect you in, even if it's a small amount, but you're entangling. So it will be a part of your experience if you choose to entangle with someone else. For myself, one of the most magical parts of my ascension journey, especially as I became more and more sensitive and held these high frequencies. And I've talked about this before. My frequency, my essence is my power, and it's what I protect and hold most sacred. I love my energy. I honor all the work I've done, and I want to keep it in contained, and I will share it with many. I'm very generous with sharing my energy and my light, but my sacral area or energetic field is one that is under lock and key. That's the chastity belt. Because I chose to explore what it is to be celibate, and for myself, there's so much healing that comes when you take that journey, and you really do reconnect to the inner child's, that virgin pure energy, which connects to the divine feminine, and that portal into life force energy. So again, we need that polarity, that duality in the experience in order to really appreciate it and bring it back into oneness. And being abstaining from sexual interactions does not mean that you're not sexual or you're not keeping that area healthy. And if anything, I think it becomes more and more healthy. And as you tap into that part of yourself and then explore what it is to feel empowered from there, that you choose to have an interaction with somebody, that is your choice. And it's a gift coming together and sharing in that experience. And then it becomes more magical because it's two consenting individuals who are holding a high vibration, because I think if you've ascended and you're holding this really high vibration, you will only interact with those who are resonating with you. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that, because I we share, but we, some things are meant to be kept
Mm.
private.
Yeah, and just what you were saying is like being sexual and sexual energy is different as well, because the
Mhm.
sexual energy is for life force.
Yes.
And as we were talking about the full moon to start with, well, exploring the cycles is also a great way to, because within a woman, we've got those moons within ourselves as well,
Mhm.
and working with this power, this power that we have, um, and and the different moments tells also information from women of whether to be active or not active, or slow down or listen.
Mhm.
And this is in terms of what you were saying, how to, if someone wants to start, but that's also a good start to see how to work with their cycle.
Yeah, see how to work with your cycle and also practicing discernment. I think
Mm.
practicing discernment in all areas of our life is an essential part of consciously raising in vibration. And it's hard because as you ascend, you will be letting things go, or things will walk away or fall off. And that shedding is not bad. It's just no longer in alignment with you. And practicing discernment is also really empowering. And yeah, I don't know why that's coming through, but I feel like you have something to add there.
Well, it's like shedding and letting go. Sometimes there can be fear around it. You were talking about attachment, and yet, well, if it concerns other people, it can be done in a very beautiful way as well. A beautiful goodbye.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it totally can. It can be a
so
wonderful
it can be
experience.
a blessing for all if it comes back again to something. And I feel like when we are more in that place of alignment and union within and with others, if there's a letting go or a shedding, it's organic, and it's something which give rather than take,
Yes.
and is not painful because it's natural cycle of life as well, in a way of the receiving and giving as well.
And that comes with honoring everyone.
Mm.
And it's interesting because as you're speaking, I was brought back to 2020 and how
Mm.
how there are so, and it also connects to what we first talked about connecting with our authentic self. And 2020 was a tower moment. And tower moments are instrumental in the awakening of humanity. And that tower moment forced everyone to stay home and look within and then look at our partners. And that's why there were so many divorces and separations following 2020, because that shadow that was brought to light, and we were able to see, oh, maybe we aren't in alignment anymore, and that's okay, and
Mhm.
wishing well for the other and letting, just it's like the whole planet just started to shift and start to come more in resonance, because before it's like we were living in that lie and deception, and it's like, why are we still together? This just doesn't make sense. So you go live your best life and I'll go live mine, and wish each other well. And as more and more people who s- are awakening, the reality is this is going to continue to happen until people find their people, if you will, and find that reflection that is in a resonance with them. And that's not a bad thing, because we are given exactly what we need in order to see parts of ourselves, whether we like them or not, but they need to be seen.
Mm.
So be courageous and look at it. And don't be jealous of the ascended master, because I can guarantee you they had to go down some dark roads. I know. I've been there. I honor that part of myself. And it wasn't fun. It was actually really hard. And if I just go there, I just feel like, actually, I feel very neutral now, to be honest, but it took me a while to get there.
Mm.
So when you commit to yourself and commit to just being the best version of yourself and choose to see the good in all experiences and hold hope and that life force energy for what's to come and what you are creating and attracting all that is in alignment with your authentic self, your authentic energy, then that is when life begins to flow and it opens up a door to being able to have experiences that are in a higher vibration, that is in creation, and the blessings and these high vibrational experiences do start pouring in. I am looking forward to a day where we are seeing more tears of joy, because
Mm.
those are the best tears. And I am holding hope. That inner child within me is holding hope for that, where we are so inspired by the journey of another that we are cheering each other on and saying, yes, you've got this. Go, don't give up. I am not giving up on you. I look forward to that.
Mm. And in what you were saying when I was hearing the best version, is the best version in each moment. So in that way, there's nothing to attain either. It's what is it for now and for the next now.
Yes.
So it's not about either perfection or in the way of the mind can know. Is like in that moment
Mhm.
would love, if I would say even um something else than the best version, what would love through me would be or would do in that situation. um
I'm with you on that. And sometimes when connecting back to when in my really low moments, sometimes it's
mhm,
hard to connect to the best version of yourself in that now. And that's where future pacing really serves you. And
yeah.
not necessarily looking at the outcome, because you may not know what that best version of your future self is, but you can hold the energy of that person, because it's really, again, the universe only reads energy. So connecting to that hope, connecting to that wise, loving, joyous, free version of you, and using words like that, not necessarily knowing how that's going to look and form, and hold and connecting it to the now through hope.
Mm. And when I was listening to you, it's like I heard it in the way it's like in holding onto or connecting to what you was, the hope or the best version. It's connecting to that because it is the support in that moment for ourselves. Because
Mhm.
sometimes it's like being the better version if someone has a tendency to do for others, and that's the that learning against for the moon is like, how can I be the best version for others, but in a way connecting to that best version or that hope. I connect to that because that's the one who's got my back, will have my back in that moment and hold me to go through whatever is being presented to me. And for me, yeah, it's connecting to love. in that, you know, you mentioned universe, but it's connecting to the
It is
something
love.
so much greater, to hold myself or to hold us in those moments which can be challenging at times.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah. And it
And
remains as well. That's you know, you mentioning of being ascendant of matter. It's it's not always pink clouds and pink elephants. It's those moments of challenges that we embrace differently because we have learned um, to a better way to a greater way to respond to them, and to embrace them in a different light than maybe a month ago or a year ago or whatever. And that what in those moments when those challenges happen, it can be a different experience because of what we come through, or um yeah, previously. Don't know if I made.
well, and I love that you said that because I can only speak from my experience.
Yeah.
In those really, really low moments, I needed to get out of my head and just connect to my heart. So we were speaking of love and and just shining love because I'm grateful because being able to connect to love has never been difficult for me. Um, but it wasn't love from external people. It was love of God.
Mm.
And I'll say I get emotional when I just tap into the love of God. It's just so intense. It's hard to contain when I allow it to come through. Um, okay, one second. It's just so powerful. So in those moments when they are hard and I connect to that and I just shine from that place, knowing that I'm loved by a power that is greater than this experience that is held within me, and connecting to the hope that this too shall pass. And I just need to stay connected to that love and that higher power. That is what kept me going.
Hmm.
And yes, the journey can take years. Mine personally did. But that was my way of proving to myself and God, I am committed to this transformation. And I will even say that I do believe in a world of pink elephants and rainbows because I've crossed over enough times into that field of a higher vibration where even when there is chaos happening around me, I can hold that vibration. So that is where I honor that 7-year process or whatever it was or duration where I was in the middle of, I say this with my clients, I'm going to say it here, in the middle of a shitstorm. But the reality is that that was a gift because if I
Hmm.
could tap into love and hope and trust when things feel so shaky and scary and low, and then just keep shifting my focus into those higher vibrations, eventually you break through. And then when you're in those low vibrational moments, you now have that experience. I've been there before so many times. I'm not going to lower my vibration in this moment. I can maintain my high vibration, witness everything that's happening around me, and just shine and be a source of hope and love for others just through the frequency that I am transmitting.
Mm.
but that takes time and commitment.
Mm. I in those past few days, with the chaos of the full moon, I mean, to say it simply, I I felt like I was called back to love, even in the moment when I was feeling, simply by asking as well. So I listened to music,
Mm.
but also as I was falling asleep, there was a phrase coming. I remember myself, well, during my sleep, or half asleep, um, going with the Ho'oponopono prayer as well,
Mm.
and that's where I could feel that I was, despite whatever that was showing me again, the distance that I've already been on, and that I was choosing. You're talking about commitment as well, to remain in my heart, and 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 still loving the person, and yet not want to be next to that person as
Yeah.
well. And and for me, that I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm not feeling my heart. What's happening? I don't care about that person. What needed was to acknowledge that I was feeling better for that person not to be around. So I was putting myself, listening to myself first. And then I started moving, go through my day, and I was like, yeah, I am feeling better. I can be joyful to recognize that I feel better without the presence of something which is not love for me. And yet my heart hurt for the situation, because and the two can live together as well. So it's
Yes.
not denying myself, and in not denying myself, it's also bringing the whole within my heart. Because if I was saying, um if I was jumping across myself again, it would have felt more difficult to really feel the love for the other person in a way. So it was bringing union to the situation, even if apparently it's not resolved, but within me it's resolved, and that's already a start. And yeah, and when you were saying about the love of God pouring through, um going to the market yesterday, and I felt like God was speaking through so many people, because I received so much. Like, it's people I know randomly, but there I just felt there was special attention in particular, and that was God loving, and God love through other individual given to me. And I felt like high as a kite when I was, yeah, because we
Yeah.
can connect within ourselves, and yet receiving is such a different experience as well.
Yes, and connecting to God or oneness is truly such a high vibrational experience like no other, and it's worth the trip, if you will. And reading your energy of what you were communicating earlier, it was brilliant because when you said that you felt disconnected with your heart, really what I read was you tapped it, you brought the situation into oneness, brought love and forgiveness in for everyone involved that is a part of one through you. But as you did it, the magic happened and the entanglements dissolved. It's the cords were cut, if you will, and you were able to release that. And so it wasn't so much that you were disconnected from your heart, it's just that you were no longer feeling that hook into the situation. It was it was the entanglement was dissolved. And that is the freedom that comes, and you start to feel lighter after doing that. And that is part of doing the shadow work and using discernment as a tool to shed and release and purge and let go of what no longer is alignment with you.
Mm. And when you were speaking as well, it's like, and the power of over is released as well.
Yeah.
The power trip is um not anymore. So
Mhm.
and the power are restored, but it's there's not a power over anymore. It's not an overwhelm of the situation. It's like you said, it's freedom
Freedom
through love.
through
Mm.
love. Well, I think that is a beautiful way to end this conversation. Freedom through love.
Yes.
I love to love. It's such a anybody who, yes, explore what that is to love. Love all aspects of life, all aspects of yourself, and to hold love in its purest form because it doesn't come from anything outside of you. Leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.